Hi everyone, this is Stephanie. This is my second time recording this and it's like 1 a.m., maybe later now, 1:30. Um, I had a dream on July 17th and it was kind of a funny dream. At least to me, it was funny. Um, it didn't have a real serious way about it, but it did leave me with the impression that God had something for me to share. So I'm going to share. I don't even know what part of the dream meant. I just know this one particular part. And so I'm just going to tell you. I was walking along, pulling what I thought was a baby car seat, like that you might see in an airport, like where you can like pull it along like a suitcase, but it's a car seat. And I had a blanket over it. And so I was walking down this hallway and I saw a bunch of my friends from college. And so I just got, I waved at him and then I went down the end of the hall and I got right beside one of my friends and just stood in line there. And then I pulled the blanket off the baby carrier or the car seat and there was no baby. And it was a toy. It was not a real car seat. I don't know. I looked at it and I was like, oh, I forgot her. And it was like kind of like almost like, oh, my bad. I just forgot her. And so I just started to walk back down the hallway. Well, there was a countertop on my right. And someone came out from a room and he was wearing white, what looked like a white t-shirt, and he had blonde hair, blue eyes, and he was a little heavy set. And he comes out and he was very real to me. That's why I describe him, because he seemed like a real person. And he comes out and he said, he looks me right in the eye and he says, "Have you heard about the coral reef?" And then I said, "No, I have not. God must want me to look into that." And so I woke up at that moment because my daughter in real life was crying and she woke me up. So I went to check on her. So I don't know if there was going to be any more to that dream. And I don't know. I thought it was kind of odd when I woke up because I was just like, well, for one thing, I didn't know what the whole baby carrier thing was about. But I do know that God did want me to look up the coral reef because I actually said that in my dream. Like I knew God wanted me to look at that. So I did some research and I found some interesting information because it's the coral reef is not something that I think about, and I haven't really seen it in the news or anything like that. So it wasn't even on my radar at all until the Lord pointed it out to me. So I know that as I started research, I saw that there's been articles quite a ways back. I mean, I have one here from 2010, and it talks about our oceans being in trouble. So, so at least since 2010, we've had some problems with our oceans. And, you know, I know people talk about climate change and all that, and of course we want to be conscientious and careful, but I didn't hear anything about any of this stuff, so I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, so let me find it here. Okay, so since I got this dream and I started researching, almost daily there has been new articles posted about what's happening in the coral reef right now. So in 2020, they've had their third major reef bleaching in like the past few years apparently, and it was 60% of the reefs have been affected. So the reefs are dying off because of this bleaching. And apparently coral helps to regulate temperatures in the oceans, and it is also where many of the sea creatures live and feed. So we have this giant ocean, but a lot of sea creatures are living right there in that area. And so the coral dying is a potential big problem, right? So I've also looked up more stuff, and there's just been many articles. One of the ones I found was new red algae is threatening Hawaii's coral reef. This is something they've never seen before, and it's just devouring the reef. Sharks are functionally extinct from 1 in 5 coral reefs. Crown of starfish are eating and destroying coral reef in the Philippines. This one's interesting. Pesticide mixtures in creeks and rivers discharging into the Great Barrier Reef are causing massive die-offs. Carbon dioxide emissions causing ocean acidification, which is harmful to many sea creatures. As I was reading that, because so many sea creatures were dying, I started to look into other massive die-offs of animals, and I've seen some stories on those, but I didn't realize the extent of it. And as I was doing some research, I found this site that was tracking the massive die-offs since about 2011, and so I'll post that in the link below. But some of the die-offs have been fish, bats, vultures, sparrows, and migrating birds, dolphins, and many, many more. And that it's amazing. So then, sorry, I keep saying, it's really late and I'm really tired, but I felt like the Lord wanted me to post this, so I'm doing it. So then I asked this question, why does the Lord want me to look at this, right? So I think he definitely wants to draw our attention to this, and that it says in the last days the earth will cry out in birth pains. The earth is definitely crying out right now. So I found some scriptures that I felt like really kind of described exactly what I was looking into. And so Isaiah 24, starting in verse 4, it says, "The earth dries up and withers, the world languishes and withers, the heavens languish together with the earth lies polluted under its inhabitants, for they have transgressed laws, violated the statutes, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore the curse devours the earth, and its inhabitants suffer for their guilt. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth dwindled, and few people are left." And then in Hosea 4:1, it says, "Hear the word of the Lord, O people of Israel." Now, I know this is talking to Israel, but it seemed very fitting. "For the Lord has an indictment against the inhabitants of the land. There is no faithfulness or loyalty, and no knowledge of God in the land. Swearing, lying, and murder, and stealing and adultery break out. Bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and all who live in it languish. Together with the wild animals and the birds of the air, even the fish of the sea are perishing." It just seemed very fitting for what I was pointed to from the Lord. So I also found this in Romans, which I think is very good. It's encouraging also. So in Romans 8:19 through 23, it says, "I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the children of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and will obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning in labor pains until now, and not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly, while we wait for adoption, the redemption of our bodies. For in hope we were saved. Now hope is what hope now hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what is seen? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. For we do not know how to pray as we ought, but that very Spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words. And God, who searches the heart, knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. We know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn within a large family. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified. I just find that very encouraging, that in these times where I feel like the Lord is just calling us to prayer, to seek him, to seek the outpouring that he has for us. And I believe that we are called to prayer as we wait, as all of creation waits for the freedom of the glory of the children of God. So I feel like the Lord just pointed that out to me as another sign of what's going on in the world today. Everything is pointing to Jesus if we just pay attention. The world wants to call it climate change, but the Lord knew this was going to happen. It's right there in the Word of God. It says that these things are going to happen to the earth because it has to happen. But we can pray. We can pray for the time that we're here, that things continue to be okay. Like we can still have fish in the sea and still experience the goodness of God while we're here, So, okay, I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope it blessed you and encourages you to spend time researching it and praying also. And I will talk to you later.